Hello, and welcome to Small Screen Live. I hope you guys are all doing very well. We've got a big show tonight. There's a lot to talk about. So we've got stuff like James Gunn to talk about, a bit of Henry Cavill news as well, some Ahsoka Season 2 news, Mindhunter Season 3 news, which is a bit upsetting. Might talk a little bit about Ant-Man, Fantastic Four stuff, Evangeline Lilly as well. A lot of James Gunn stuff. We've got James here tonight that's... producer of the show, operating everything, and also going to be chiming in with some of his thoughts on the news we will cover. We've also got Shaun here with us again as usual, so I'm very much looking forward to talking to everyone about all things comic book movies, TV shows, getting some insight as well into how comic book things are made and things like that. We'll talk a little bit about that as well in the show. I hope you guys are all doing very well. Who do we have in the chat already? We've got Kazakhs saying, if you don't catch this stream, you will catch these hands. James Lauder. That I'm totally puzzled by that. James Lauder's my granddad, so I don't know. I don't think he ever said that.
It's a mix between us, I believe.
Okay, all right. And Chrysler saying, greetings, screeners. Greetings to you, Chrysler. And you put a duck emoji in there for some reason. I'm not sure why you did that, but that's fun.
Quack.
Quack. Oh, that's why. Quack that notification bell. There you go. Yes, and please do, if you're watching live, like and subscribe. Bobby Anderson in the chat saying hello to Chrysler. Hello, Bobby. Again, I am back playing Animal Crossing, Bobby. Bobby's a big Animal Crossing fan. I'm trying to rebuild my island, and I'm sure to go and visit yours at some point as well. I hope you're doing well, Bobby. Who else do we have in the chat? We've got Patrick saying, I will catch on replay. It rock ego, Henry Cavill, not James Gunn, I go. That's interesting syntax. Patrick, but I hope you're doing well, and yes, please do catch the show on the replay. And Baker Town's in the chat saying yo, how are you doing, Baker Town? I hope you're doing very well. That's Curtis, of course, in the chat there. God, this bloody comment every time for some reason, I don't know why, but if you're on Facebook, Small Screen will comment, it's not us, it's a ghost saying, what did you guys think of the Book of Boba Fett episode 3? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Again, I always say the Book of Boba Fett episode 3 was pants. It was awful. There you go. Danzig 1979 saying, hey guys and gals, how you doing, Danzig? I hope you're doing very well. Right, who else do we have? We've got Bobby saying hello to Edward, Shaun, and James. Yes, that's all three of us. We're the trio. Chris is saying a little bit about Ant-Man 3. Yeah, I didn't even do that deliberately. But yes, I am a genius. And who else do we have? We've got Lifted LaChance saying, well, hello there. Yes, hello there. I'm not sure if we don't really do clips anymore. I know some people are upset about that. Some people aren't upset about that. We've got Rodney P in the chat saying, any thoughts on The Last of Us show? I am actually waiting until the show's finished because I want to watch it all in one go.
That's exactly what I'm doing too. And I've been so far keeping away from spoilers, so that's good.
Yeah, I've played the game, so I know what happens in the video game, but I'm definitely going to be watching that as soon as it ends. I kind of did the same thing with The White Lotus as well. I ended up watching the first 2 seasons after they aired, so I just watched them all in one go, and that was brilliant. I like a good binge. Who else? We've got Bobby again saying, I see you playing my island is so bad. I'm ashamed of it. Do you need blue roses? No, Bobby, I think you've got to stop this. This is false modesty, and your island is incredible. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in the game, and you should be very proud. And I know you have multiple islands as well, and they're all amazing. So don't say that. Right? Who else do we have? We've got
one day I'll go on. One day I'll go on their island and I'll live stream it so everyone can see.
Yeah,
or one of them.
It's incredible. Everyone should see that. Anyone that's interested in Animal Crossing. It's so good, that island. Yeah. Right, should we bring Shaun in? Hello, Shaun. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm recovering from James being so jealous I had lunch with Zeus last week. But other than that,
I think
going well.
Yeah, that was even James even mentioned that to me. He was like, I cannot believe this is happening. If Zeus steals Shaun from us,
in
be
the
very
group
upset.
chat, to be fair, but it's just because
Yeah.
I used to live in that area, but now I don't. I couldn't, because if I still lived in that area, it'd be like 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It was
basically, what you
exactly
wanted to do.
it was exactly
You
20
wanted to have
minutes
meal.
crossing an
Yeah.
international border behind a car that was towing another car that had no paperwork on it. So that's always fun when you cross an international border.
Yeah, 27 years in that area, and then I moved for a couple of years, and I missed the boat. What you gonna do?
Well, we've got other stuff to talk about apart from your meal plans with the Zeus, the god.
Nothing is more important than my eating.
Well, I can understand that. I understand where that comes from. I suppose, I mean, we seem to talk about this guy every week, but the first thing I think we need to talk about is a little bit about James Gunn, and because literally apparently on the Facebook page we got a bit of hate because some guy was like, "Please stop talking about James Gunn."
A bit of hate.
Yeah,
a bit of hate.
A bit of. Yeah, well, I'm always expecting that on Facebook, but no. Apparently, people thought we were writing too many articles about James Gunn. But the problem is that
you get on Facebook and you mention James Gunn, and it's like Candyman. Like, everybody just shows up and starts attacking.
I don't know where these people come from. They'll probably come on here in a minute as well. But honestly, like the minute we write. The problem is with James Gunn is he's always talking to fans. He's always interacting with fans, which I don't think is a problem. I think is actually a very good thing. But he's actually kind of got himself in a bit of a mess because he's actually revealed, I think inadvertently revealed, that he was hired quite a long time before it was announced that he was going to be the head of DC Studios, or the co-head of DC Studios. He was hired to write the Superman Legacy script. So I think it was about 3 or 4 months before the announcement. You might correct me.
Around the end of August. Yeah.
He said he'd been working on it for 6 months.
Yes. So which meant that he had been working on it prior to actually being announced that he's going to be the co-CEO of DC Studios, which meant that Warner Brothers Discovery hired James Gunn knowing that Henry Cavill wasn't going to be the Superman in this movie. No,
because it for me, because they hadn't gotten rid of Affleck at that time. So to me, it was like they were developing parallel projects. They might have had Gunn, and I mean, and the way they work is that they throw a bunch of people out writing scripts. They could have not, just been having him write a script to see what happened. Like they had Kevin Smith do a script, and like they had Akiva do a script, and all that stuff. Brett Ratner's like 3 Superman projects that they went through in the 90s. They could have just been done that.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned to Edward earlier, but I think because the reports that they've been looking for a new Superman since 2018, and he never came back since then. He wasn't even in the end of the Peacemaker show, in the end scene there. And then with The Rock having to fight to get Cavill back for the last scene of Black Adam, I think the writing was on the wall. Like everyone's just blaming James Gunn for Henry Cavill not coming back, but it seems like it was already a decision before he came on board for a couple of years now. And yeah, I said there was also the point that they could be working on parallel scripts too, but I think he would just cost too much money, and they wanted to go in a different direction.
Why would he cost too much money? Is he that? I mean, he's not had that many really successful projects. He's up there in the stratosphere for actors.
He comes from a very, very rich family. So, and he wants a lot of money. That's why he didn't do the cameo in Shazam at the end.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
Are you talking about Henry Cavill? Yeah, you're not talking about James Gunn being very expensive. Okay,
no,
because Henry Cavill he comes from money. He comes from old money. I think he's from the island of Jersey, which is a tax haven in the UK. You can't live there if you don't have a lot of money. He went to Stowe, which is one of the most prestigious boarding schools in the United Kingdom. So he's very wealthy. His family's very wealthy. He does cost quite a bit of money, But the thing is, I don't think this should really come as a surprise that Warner Brothers had hired James Gunn to write a Superman script, because they'd already hired this is Tallahassee. What's his? I can't remember his name now. The journalist Coates, his last name, to write the Black Superman script, as everyone keeps on referring to it as. Yeah. And he's still working on that script, apparently.
It's probably a contract.
Yeah, and he's I think he might be a Pulitzer-winning journalist.
Yeah,
Pulitzer Prize, like Amy Adams's Lois Lane kept on saying in Batman versus Superman that she's a Pulitzer-winning prize-winning journalist. She literally said that on multiple occasions, which is something that obviously anyone brings up in conversation. It's something about that movie. I rewatched the whole thing about Batman versus Superman.
I mean, in the comics, Clark and Lois have got won Pulitzers quite a while ago. They're both pretty respected, so that's not like that's not a new thing someone's adding.
No, but I just think it's quite funny the way she says it in the movie. I rewatched bits of the movie and I was like, "Oh yeah, actually, that doesn't sound that great. It's a bit weird." But anyway, basically, they are making multiple. Yes.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier too, where like Gunn said at the presentation when he rolled out Chapter 1 that he was being dicked around by the studios, by the previous regime at Warner Brothers. So, I mean, if you look at all of the reports of the timeline, it looks like they had decided that Cavill was done around 2018. And I think it was like Rock flexing those muscles. I know you don't agree with me, Shaun, but
no. I don't understand why you would get rid of just part of that cast. You know, if you either clean house or keep them one way or another.
The way I can see it is maybe Henry Cavill wanted to be locked into something while the other actors were okay making an appearance here and playing it by ear. Because if you have like Ezra Miller, you have Jason Momoa, and you have was it Jason Momoa? Yeah, was Gal Gadot? She wasn't in the Peacemaker end scene, was she? It was just
Wonder Woman. I don't think Wonder Woman was there. No,
it's a while ago. I don't remember.
And neither was Affleck either.
No, it was. They're all body doubles.
Yeah, but
Batman and Superman were body doubles.
Yeah, he'll come back for cameos and stuff. But I think maybe Cavill, I don't know, if they're willing to come back for cameos to, maybe please the fans and maybe sum up their stories or just, confirm that they're still in that universe. But Cavill didn't want to. Like, the only thing I could think of is money because of the whole Shazam and post-credit scene.
Well, let's stop for 1 second and just go over none of and there are going to be death threats against me after I say this, but none of the Snyder projects were big money-making blockbusters. They were expensive to make, and they didn't create a huge profit center. So all this stuff about that they're going to lose money, that nobody's going to go see these movies. Well, nobody was really going to see them in the first place, in terms of like looking at what other stuff goes. I mean, they just did okay. So
that is an interesting point, because I think we actually made that before. It's like these Man of Steel, it did okay.
Yeah.
Batman vs Superman did okay. But the problem with both of those movies, and Batman vs Superman in particular, was the expectation for on Warner Brothers' behalf was for the money to make well over $1 billion at the box office. I mean, look at Avatar: The Way of Water. Somehow has made over $2 billion. And a movie that's billing both Batman and Superman should be making a heck of a lot more money than it did. But for some reason, and we know that the Snyderverse fandom is very vocal, and they'll probably all come in here and start getting very upset with us. But for some reason, those Zack Snyder movies, did not hit with audiences. Just audiences did not connect with those movies, like general audiences. I remember I was working at Melty, which is a French media outlet. I was the editor of the English language site. I went to see that movie, the press screening of that film, with a very young team from all over the world. We all went to see the press screening of Batman vs Superman. Came out of that movie afterwards. Everybody was in agreement that it wasn't good. that movie was not good. Literally everybody. And these are very young people that all read comic books and all read, watched a lot of comic book movies. And then, you had, after that, you had the Suicide Squad come out, and then you had Justice League come out, and it was the same reaction for all of those films. And I'm pretty sure that Warner Brothers executives knew this, and they really wanted to move away from that core, that Snyderverse universe as quickly as possible. I think, like, Toby Emmerich was the one that wanted to get rid of Henry Cavill Superman in 2018.
2018.
He was the one. Yeah, he was the one that wanted, and that was after the release of Justice League. They were like, we really need to get away from this now because it's a complete mess.
Well, think about it. I mean, the Suicide Squad, the first one, did about as well as Batman versus Superman. And Suicide Squad, the only like top line character in there is Harley Quinn, and even in that, she at that point was not that well known to the general public. Batman versus Superman, you have two of the big marquee characters of 20th century pop culture, and it does about the same as a movie full of characters that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Can I address a comment? Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
Edward.
Go on, address the comment first.
Rodney says, why did DeLuca or Abney greenlight Cavill coming back knowing Gunn was writing a younger Superman? Shouldn't they have just said no to The Rock and Cavill?
Did they greenlight it, though?
They got, well, yeah. From what the reports were, is The Rock got permission by those two. And I think what happened was it was a last-ditch effort. And I think the studio, because the reports of The Rock going around certain execs and using his quote-unquote muscle to get Cavill in there for the post-credit scene, I think the studio probably saw it as a way to boost box office sales as well, right? To get the hype up.
Yeah.
And it was like a last-ditch effort because it was an experiment, Black Adam, and they had to give him a chance to let it do well to see if it will continue on in the universe, because he's been working on it for 10 years or more. But yeah, I just think it was a last-ditch effort, and it didn't do well at the box office. I think it did okay, and I enjoyed the film, but they obviously, and the whole thing about WBD and the merger and the canceling Batgirl or shelving Batgirl, like, they just want to save money. So it makes sense that they're going to go and lock in all these younger actors for a 10-year contract or 8-year contract or whatever.
Well,
but I just think it was just an experiment or a last-ditch effort by The Rock and $7 Productions to try and make Black Adam as popular as possible.
Or, it's a change in regime that happened while Black Adam was in post-production. So there could have been one plan. Yeah. And then you had this change of regime, and what's his name? The Discovery guy is all about cutting costs, and he's probably looking at how much Black Adam cost, and they have to bring out the paddles and shock him back to life. And
he had an aneurysm.
There's got to be a different way to do this, and I agree with that. Yeah. There's got to be a better way to do it.
Yeah. But one of the things I did want to address is that there's so much hatred that's aimed towards Gunn at this. Mm-hmm. People saying, "Oh, well, you knew that Henry Cavill wasn't going to be Superman anyway. Like, you went along with this, blah blah blah." There's all these. I don't like going on about social, online movements, as they're called, or campaigns, or whatever. It's the Fire James Gunn campaign that's going on. There is a positive one, which is Run with Gunn, or We Run with Gunn, which is the first, is a positive campaign, people trying to actually promote positivity within the DC fandom, which is good. But people, I think we need to realize how small actually this group is of people that are online, that are constantly moaning about the Snyderverse not continuing. I think, all things come to an end. Even at some point, even the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to come to an end, probably sooner rather than later. But it doesn't. Moaning about it on social media is not going to solve anything. I think people should be looking forward to what's to come, and should not be constantly berating James Gunn over this, because if anything, you've got a pretty good. He's got a very interesting vision, I think, for what DC movies and TV shows can be. Let him do that. Otherwise, you're just going to push him away, and that is what I worry about a lot when I see all these comments on Small Screen's Facebook
Well,
page
it's
as well.
the problem with like the Snyder Cut 2 when it was released. I was like, okay, great, we get to see his vision, you know, and we can all have fun and enjoy that. But then it's done. But then after that, it was restore the Snyderverse and release the Ayer Cut, and now it's sell it to Netflix, and I think Cavill. I think Cavill coming at the end of Black Adam. I think that might have been a mistake because it gave the fans hope. And
but everything
a little bit more.
Everything is not about building a universe, you know. I mean, if you just look at Black Adam, if you looked at it as a one-off, you know, having Superman, the guy we already know is Superman, show up at the end, that's a great gag. That's a great, you know, it's a great publicity piece, and it's a great thing for people to get people talking about the movie. It doesn't necessarily have to be about setting up a universe for the future. And I know that Mr. Johnson wanted to, or at least said he wanted to. But, you know, all these people who are complaining, I just, you know, you're talking about the getting the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and they're just not, all it does is seem like it whips them up some more. You know, into their cultish aspect of like, we need to have this back. Like, dude, I'm old enough to remember Trial of the Incredible Hulk and wishing like hell that that's going to be good. Like, relax. You're going to have some good superhero movies. You're not going to have, you know, Rex Smith as Daredevil in an all black suit. You know, just there's going to be other stuff to watch, folks.
And being a DC fan, like since I was like 2 years old, I'm used to actors changing roles, and you know, I loved Keaton, I liked Kilmer, I liked who was not George Clooney,
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. I know Christian Bale. He was good, except he kept his mouth open way too much. Batman doesn't have his mouth open like a barn door. But I'm used to the reboots and the revisions, and they're actually exciting. Superman's had a trouble past. Shaun, you know all too well, but like especially the last 20 years trying to get to screen. And but being a DC fan, we're kind of used to this. And if you're a comics fan, then you know they reboot the universe like almost every summer. So,
it's
but the thing with these online communities is they are an online community now. Everyone found each other. They found something to bond over. It filled some form of a gap in their life, I think. So once it's done and over with, what are they going to do? Are they just going to become like a museum for this past movement? That's why they keep trying to come up with these new campaigns.
It feels mechanical to me. I mean, Edward and I talked about it the other day when people were jumping on the post. It feels like this is bots or somebody, you know, somebody running this to try and make this seem like more than it is, because there just aren't that. Yeah, there just aren't this many people who watch these movies and like them. There just aren't.
When there was the Fire James Gunn hashtag going on, there was a guy tweeting it out 600 times, and he would number the tweets. Took a couple screenshots.
Well, I love we put the Run with Gun thing. You put the Run with Gun thing up, and there's immediately someone going on there. This is obviously publicity push from Warner Brothers. This is not real.
The inventiveness is amazing from some of these people on social media. Like, it's like, okay, so I saw some people suggesting that I'd been paid by Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers PR to get this out. Honestly, if Warner Brothers PR is paying me to write good things about James Gunn and the DC studios, please send me money. I would love that, but it's not happening.
And where's my share, by the way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like it's not happening. It's like a lot of people saying that Disney just pays off. All over the years, Disney had been paying off certain reviewers and critics. Yeah, if the critics for Ant-Man 3 is anything to go by, obviously Disney hasn't been paying the critics as much as they used to. But,
Bob Chapek put an end to that.
Inflation's hitting everybody.
Exactly. But I mean, I think all this Gunn stuff is just like, I think, just let him work. Let's see what he does. Snyder's fine. He's doing Rebel Moon Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, whatever, however many parts Netflix is willing to spend. Incidentally, I mean, I'm going to talk about this a bit later, but the news that Netflix is unwilling to spend money on Mindhunter yet spend money on Rebel Moon, I think is awful. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I think that is terrible.
I got
But
something
anyway.
on my nose.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's like I said earlier to you, Edward. It's like they're not willing to spend money on Mindhunter season 3, but people want Netflix to license Zack Snyder's Justice League. How much is that going to cost?
But Netflix is like season 3 is always problematic for Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They did that with Lost in Space season 2 and season 3. They waited so long that Penny was like 50 years old by the time they got to the third season. You know, Will and the robot were filing for Social Security at the end.
Yeah, they're notorious for that because
the first season's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either.
I'm a big Lost in Space fan from when I was a kid, and the first season was awesome.
Do you like them? Yeah. Do you like the Matt LeBlanc movie?
No,
that was pretty good though. That was a lot of fun.
No,
yeah, when I was a mid teenager, and Crystal Method came on as the soundtrack. I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. This is my jam. This is what
you're gonna say. When I was a teenager, Crystal Meth was lying around. that movie was very good. I loved Gary Oldman in it.
Was it the I did like Oldman. Was it the blue stuff, James? You like the blue meth, right?
No, that didn't come popular till Breaking Bad. I was more into the green meth because I was like kept calling it kryptonite.
Moving on. Right. I mean, that's again. Everyone just calm down. I think is what I think we should say about when it comes to James Gunn and the DC Studios and the DC universe. I'm excited about it. But should we move on to some? I actually heard.
Our home city was pretty vanilla, Barry.
Right. Okay.
But I think it was Welland, where I lived, and around that area where Zeus is around Niagara Falls. Yeah. That David Letterman, they did their top 10 places to get marijuana in North America, and Welland, Ontario was number 1. Yeah.
Zeus, you want to weigh in on this one?
Oh, I think him and I have had this discussion before. But yeah.
All right,
Ant-Man 3.
Well, actually, yeah. Should we talk a little bit about Ant-Man 3? Not too much, because I know that Shaun, you haven't seen it. Actually, are you going to see it, Shaun? That's a question I'd like to.
I because of my anxiety issues, I stay away from movie theaters for the most part. So. When it's streaming, I probably will, or if I get like a day where I think there's going to be nobody there, I'll go.
Yeah,
but I sort of freak out in crowds.
Well, there was no one in Edward's theater when he went.
Yeah, there was no one there, and that was on a Friday night. Which usually,
if I start driving now, I can get to Paris Saturday.
But I was actually really surprised because I've seen in the cinema every last like Marvel movie that's come out in Phase 4. I've seen them all in the cinema, and they're usually packed. And this one just was not. But apparently, the movie's been doing quite well at the box office. I don't. If you guys want to read my review, it's up on the site now. I had a lot of flack for my review as well, saying that the CGI was poor. A lot of people in the comments going, "Well, you immediately this critic doesn't know what he's talking about because he says that the CGI in the movie is poor." I just thought it looked a bit wonky, and I've actually thought that about a lot of Marvel movies of late. I just feel they're being a bit rushed.
If Zack Snyder had been in charge, there would have been great CGI. Zack Snyder could have saved it.
Probably would have been. Ultimately, I did enjoy Ant-Man 3. It's not the best Marvel movie ever, but it's certainly not the worst. I think these Rotten Tomato scores. I would not take that seriously. For some reason, I think a lot of critics just really dislike this movie, and I think it's because. I think it's Marvel fatigue, actually, more than anything. I think people are just getting a bit tired with these films now. But then again, I actually felt that this movie, I thought it was a lot more fun than a lot of the movies we've seen in the MCU prior to this. A lot more fun. I think it was a lot better than Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which for me was a real letdown, that movie. I thought it was better than Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. For me, it was basically like watching a weird mixture of Rick and Morty, Star Wars, and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all in one. And it's a bit of a bonkers like visual experience. I will say the quantum realm to me is very ugly. It's just a very ugly place to be. And
It's dark. It's underground.
It's quite dark and dingy. And I thought MODOK was pretty bad. That was
really
my biggest problem with the film was MODOK. Actually, I just thought the character was just a bit too, that kind of Marvel goofiness. It was just a bit too much of that. And I just don't think they should have included MODOK at all. Personally, I don't think he really added much.
Or done a better job when he doesn't have his helmet down. But
that was my main like CGI issue with the film, was that MODOK just looks so weird, and I just thought some of the designs were a bit too cartoonish as well. Like I like the fact that like the designs of the ships, there are these living ships in it, and to me it looks a lot like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Kind of, if you remember those early comic books, those Douglas Adams comic books, they're very kind of almost look like something out of the Beatles cartoons. There's an element of that to it, like the circular kind of
the UPA cartoons or the Yellow Submarine.
Yellow Submarine, I think, is like the kind of circular that look a bit like kind of bubbles or like balloons.
The designs were all like based off of microcellular organisms, right? So and how they grow and how they're shaped. So.
Yeah.
It
was interesting.
Second born child went to see it, and Connor said that he enjoyed it. They enjoyed it, but what they really enjoyed was the fact that with all the jokey stuff, that Kang was not involved in the jokey stuff. Kang was clearly outside of that, was taken really seriously, and really came off as a menace.
He is brilliant. Jonathan Majors is really good in this film, and he's good. But the thing is, I was going into the movie knowing that he's going to be good anyway. So, and he's good in everything he's in. I've never seen
he's
him
amazing.
Deliver.
Whole time I was watching, I was like, where are the stakes? Am I going to get any stakes in this film? I didn't feel like there was any stakes, but I will say it was a good demo reel for Peyton Reed. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Hey, Disney, look DC. At me. Yeah, I can do Star Wars lighting. I can do Star Wars shots. I can do Star Wars cantinas. Look at me.
It's very Star Warsy, yeah.
Restore the Peyton Reediverse.
Yeah. But there was one thing about the movie that another thing about the movie that I really I noticed that there were scenes in it that really felt like sets to me. Like they felt like sets with just the screen behind, and the screen behind was like the sky of the quantum realm and the rest of the quantum, and then it's like there's a point where Michelle Pfeiffer first meets it's at the very beginning of the movie, first meets Kang, and
no spoilers.
It's like, well, no, there's no spoilers, but all I say is in that scene, literally the only thing she has to interact with in that scene is a rock, and you can just tell she's on that whatever that stage is called, and they've just put a rock there, and there's the volume, that's it, and there's a rock there, and there's a screen behind her, and that's it. And it just felt,
but Edward, when you watch those old-timey movies from like the 30s and 40s, and they have the rear projection screen, you're okay with that?
In the car. No,
because you forgive it for the time. I mean, it's you either jump on board with the concept or not. And with the Marvel movies, we've had a higher standard, and it does feel like they're Multiverse of Madness and even multiple Spider-Man. It felt like we're taking a step back.
Oh my God. Kind of stuff. We just go to Bizarro World, because we had this conversation 3 weeks ago and I was on the opposite side, and I just said that to make a joke about it. Do you remember, Shaun, when Edward's like, do you remember those old tiny movies with the screen projection in the background when I was complaining about Hawkeye and the green screen at the bridge?
Yeah. But I can forgive, but I mean, I can watch the 1930s Flash Gordon serial and forgive what they couldn't really do. Of course. Yeah. You know,
it's limitations at the time.
Yeah, it's the limitations at the time, and we now the problem is, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the movie, we now live in a post-Avatar: The Way of Water world, and everything about that film, you can. I mean, the movie's plot is non-existent. Really, it's very basic, But that film looks incredible. You believe that you are in this universe. Whereas with these Marvel movies, and Rodney pointed it out, Thor: Love and Thunder and Ant-Man 3, Marvel doesn't seem to be using the volume very well. And if you watch like something like The Mandalorian uses it a lot better, because you're seeing all this stuff in The Mandalorian. You actually believe that you are on. Maybe it's because you're more, I don't know, familiar with Tatooine or the kind of Star Wars universe, and Marvel's trying to make something a bit different, and
could be the different.
I don't know.
Well, interestingly, the Mandalorian looked a lot better than Book of Boba Fett. So
yes, it did. Yes.
I don't know what's going on there, because supposedly the same people are overseeing them, and Book of Boba Fett looked like a fan film in a lot of ways. I'm talking about just the look of it.
Yeah, and episode 3 was terrible. But I do think a lot of it has to...
I didn't know you felt that way about it.
I do wonder whether a lot of it is artistic direction as well. It's that they just kind of don't get it quite right in some instances. And then for The Mandalorian, there's I don't know, they had probably a more coherent vision about what they wanted for that. And the Book of Boba Fett, and I think like Ant-Man 3, was a bit all over the place, and they couldn't quite figure out what they wanted before they went and shot it, because I know that it's everything kind of has to be rendered beforehand with the volume, because they use something called Unreal technology, so it's basically like a video game, really, and the world has to be rendered properly so they can actually shoot it in camera. So maybe I do,
because everything is notoriously prevised as well.
Yeah. But that's what they do for Marvel as well.
All the reshoots, movies, right?
But none of that is new. I mean, it's getting more sophisticated, but they've been doing that. Henson developed that stuff for Sid the Science Kid. I mean, they've been doing that kind of stuff for ages now. So, they're doing a more sophisticated version of it, but they're not breaking new ground with this stuff.
No, and I think that's probably one of the things with these Marvel movies that's a bit worrying is, before, I mean, I was watching John Campea, who's a guy that likes to talk on the internet about movies and TV shows a bit like we do, but he mentioned something quite interesting, and he basically just listed all the movies that came out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe from like 2017 to 2019, and if you look through those films, every film, like, you could say was like an 8 out of 10. Like, you could go all the way down from Winter Soldier to Avengers Endgame, and basically be like, yeah, there aren't many duds there. It's like they kept on releasing pretty good movie after pretty good movie. Ever since Black Widow, the films have been pretty average, bordering on bad. Like, I would say Black Widow is pretty bad, that movie, and
I'd go back to Endgame for my own tastes.
Well,
maybe some people didn't like
2009.
Endgame.
Yeah, 2009 to End. I loved Endgame, but from 2009 to Endgame, and Zeus says Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, Thor: The Second Thor is pretty well known for being a dud in that time. But
yeah,
it's like, again, we're going back to Feige getting Michael Waldron and other people to oversee projects while he can go work on a super secret Star Wars movie. And then the Chapek reign that came in, maybe he slashed some budgets. And I know he butted heads with Feige, but now that Iger's back, hopefully we'll see a return to form, and Phase 4 didn't do so well. And Feige has addressed this, and he's going to take more hands-on approach, hopefully. So we'll maybe turn around. Like, I know the press junkets and the red carpet, they're all saying, this is the beginning of Phase 5. This is epic. You got to go see it. Blah blah blah. But to me, it just seemed like another Marvel movie. It was fun, but it was a big directing reel for Peyton Reed. He's like, I got stuck with Ant-Man for 3 films. Now give me something else. At least I got the end of Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah, he's never gonna get Fantastic Four. That's what he really wanted.
Yeah,
we're all so spoiled at this point, though. I mean, we really are.
That's the thing. We're very spoilt with these films, and all I wanted was, I mean, again, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's a solid movie. I said it was fun. I had a really good time with it. I love Paul Rudd. First off, I think the guy's aging backwards, which is really annoying. But also, I think he's a very oddly relatable superhero. He's not super clever. He's not super strong. He's just an ordinary guy in a suit with a big heart. That I like that aspect of his character. I liked Cassie Lang. I didn't think she was annoying, which I was a bit worried she was going to be. I still don't really understand why they recast her. But you know, and I Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer was absolutely fine in the movie.
You don't think Paul Rudd's acting was a bit cheesy at some points?
But that's the character. He's a cheesy character, though, and I can get on board with that.
Yeah, and it worked great in the first two films. I just found it was a bit out of place in this, like a little too hammed up.
A little too SNL-y.
Do you expect him to have developed as a character? Do you expect him to, like, you know, now no longer be so surprised by all the amazing things?
He has developed, and I liked. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but I liked where they took it in this film. But it didn't seem like they took it all the way to where his character arc could have gone, sorry, I should say it seemed a bit rushed. You know, if you watch the first two Ant-Man films and then you get in the third one, you're like, okay, now he's supposed to be like this. Yeah, it just seemed a bit rushed. There's a lot.
He's just a celebrity in it.
Stuffed a bit.
That's all he is.
Yeah, really. I know, but I was, again, trying not to get into spoiler territory, but
yeah, but that's been in the trailers and the book's out also. Scott Lang's book's out.
Yeah.
I think that they all feel kind of rushed to me, and I think that's the problem with the special effects, and I think that's been the problem with the stories, is that they're pushing to get these things through, and they're not really like taking the attention to try and do something different that they as they did in the beginning. I mean, you know, we talked about this before. Iron Man broke such new ground and was something nobody had ever seen before. You know, a lighthearted action movie that you really gave a shit about the characters. You know, and they seem to like want to keep pushing the lighthearted part and just rushing it through for the gags and not thinking about it. And I think that shows in the special effects and stuff, because they've prevised everything, but they haven't planned out how to do it that well.
It's the Mummy's Returns all over again. Yeah. Where like the ink is still dry on the film when it gets to the theaters.
Or the Mummy, or the last Mummy, you know, where it's just we've got this much time to shoot it before Cruise goes off and does Mission Impossible. So let's just get through this thing.
Yeah, I wonder if there's an element of that. I've been listening to quite a lot of interviews with specifically Michael Douglas, who's been doing a lot of the interviews for this movie, which I don't really understand why, but hearing him try and explain this movie is hilarious, number one. And hearing him talk is like, this is the beginning of Marvel's phase 5. And I'm just like, I can imagine some guy behind the camera with like placards being like, this is what you have to say, Michael. And then he was asked how many Marvel movies he'd watched, and he was like, well, how many have there been? And it's like 31. He's like, well, I haven't watched 31.
By the way, I'm Michael Douglas. I'm married to Catherine Zeta-Jones. I have a bunch of kids, and I'm a cancer survivor. I only have so much time to watch movies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you watch?
Go on, James. I'm sorry. Well, I just want to get in there and pitch. I want to pitch my 1960s Ant-Man TV show. And I want to pitch my Happy Hogan Mobutu from Wakanda crossover show. Other than that, they can do whatever they want.
Will your 60s Ant-Man pitch include the back door to get the Fantastic Four in for your 60s Fantastic Four?
My 60s Fantastic Four, my all black 60s Fantastic Four cast.
Yeah.
They've been gone since 1969, and nobody cared because they were black people, and now they're back trying to save us all from a nihilist. That's my Fantastic Four pitch. And it's
Edward. Did you go ahead?
Well, I'm trying to remember who my kid and I had cast it. Connor and I had cast it. It was Idris Elba as Reed, Halle Berry as Sue, Michael B. Jordan as Johnny again, and Ving Rhames as Ben. And they've been stuck in the negative zone since 1969.
Nice. Did you see the featurette of Ant-Man 3, Edward?
What was the? No, I didn't.
It's where they're asking the cast what they should. It's like a Q. I'll wait till you're done on your phone, and then we'll continue.
I'm just writing down the running order.
It's okay. I got it. But they said he kept, the one guy asked all the cast, what do you think this is going to bring to viewers? And everyone, Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, Evangeline Lilly, they all said
Evangeline Lilly,
Lilly, Henry Cavill, Frank Quietly. Anyways, they all said it's a big visual spectacle. You have to go see this in the theater. You have to go watch it in IMAX. And then I got to Peyton Reed. He goes, well, I think it's family. Family is the most important. Family is the best. This is what I've gone through. That's how I portrayed for the last 3 films. Yeah.
Oh dear. It's the Fast and Furious of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah.
Hey, we got a compliment from Matt Cave.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna read him. Most people, yeah, when they tune in, they realize that we actually talk about things. We don't just throw out the negative stuff for clicks. So
right,
appreciate you noticing that, Matt Cave.
That's the thing. This movie's not all negative, but I will say that when I was watching it, I was like, this movie is called Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, right? There's very little Ant-Man and very little the Wasp in this movie, and there's no Quantumania. so just, I thought that was quite funny. I was like, this movie's title is wrong and doesn't really explain the film very well.
And it's long.
So, yeah.
Is it?
No Doctor Strangelove. Oh, I just meant the title was long. Yeah.
The title's long, and the movie's quite long as well. It's about 2 hours and something, but it's like kind of, yeah. I suppose that's right. Actually, there is a lot of the Wasp, and it's Michelle Pfeiffer's Janet Van Dyne.
Van Dyne.
She's never really the Wasp in this movie. It is Hope Van Dyne who's still the Wasp. Janet Van Dyne's kind of like a freedom fighter type thing, which is kind of cool. She's good in it. Michelle Pfeiffer's good in it. Yeah.
But Ant-Man 2 was great. I really liked the Wasp in that. That sold the movie for me. Yeah.
Well, there was a lot more of the Wasp in Ant-Man 2 than there is in Ant-Man 3. There is a lot more of that.
Zeus is asking if we like the movie. Yeah, we like the movie. It's just more of the same. Are they going to deliver with all the PR? That's the thing. They're going to promise us this exciting experience, and all these things are going to be changed. It's another epic event. They're trying to hype it up like it's another Infinity War Endgame, and that's what Peyton Reed wanted. He wanted like this to be in the big, huge. He's tired of being a bookend for phases. But are they going to deliver with all this hype?
Right.
I haven't seen Avatar 2 yet, but apparently it delivered with all the hype. And that reminds me, I think it's post 1994, post Jurassic, or maybe 96, post Jurassic Park, because that CGI still holds up, right?
Jurassic Park, yeah, it really does.
But that wasn't all CGI though. There was practical and CGI mix. And I think that's the way to go. I mean, Iron Man did mostly practical stuff, and it still looks great.
Yeah. If we had like a practical broccoli guy, then that would have made Ant-Man 3 so much better.
Yeah.
I think so.
Only if they've been practical garlic butter to go with it.
He's I mean, it's a bit of a spoiler, but he's a broccoli man who was a lech, which I thought was quite. There are some elements of this movie that I really did like the film. I felt like it felt a bit also like a Rick and Morty episode. Which I suppose is not is kind of deliberate. They got Jeff Loveness to come into it, and is he still a writer on Rick and Morty, or is he now just doing Marvel stuff?
I think it's just Marvel stuff.
Who knows what's going on with Rick and Morty anymore? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be on that production.
No, but I think a lot of writers from Rick and Morty in the Marvel's writer room.
Yeah, they definitely snatched the best, the ones that they thought of being the best ones for the future of the MC. I think Jeff Loveness he's writing the next Avengers movie, the Kang Dynasty, I think, or the Dynasty of Kang, whatever they called it. One thing I will say,
Kang Dynasty,
the Kang Dynasty. One thing I will say is that I really did like. I loved Jonathan Majors' performance in this movie, but I'm also a bit worried about Kang in the future. And that's all I will say. If you've seen the end of the movie, you might understand then if you stayed for some post-credit scenes, which come up at the end of every Marvel movie now.
I've been rereading a lot of early Avengers and Fantastic Four stuff. I get the big masterworks from Comixology and go through them. And Kang is one of the most confusing characters ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It wouldn't be who I would have gone for as the next big bad, mostly because I can't figure out who he is.
I don't think Kang knows who he is either, because there are so many different versions of Kang. Yeah, and that's one of the big problems with that villain, is that you're not really sure which version of the villain you're going to get. So we've now got we've seen two versions of Kang now. I mean, I'm not, the one that was at the end of Loki, who was a bit weird, but not really a villain. Even though he did say we're all villains here. That was he's not really a villain. This version of Kang, I suppose, is a bit more stoic. I think that's the line that Jonathan Majors said, is he's a stoic Kang. We're not going to get I'm not going to say anymore. Just in case I'm spoiling it.
The last thing I'll say about Ant-Man 3 is, because when you brought up the post credits, that it reminded me of this thought that I had after watching it. Was it's another film in the Marvel universe that just seems like a lead up to what's to come.
Yeah.
And that goes back to me, okay, where are the stakes? It's just, all right, this is a fun time to watch this movie, but is it adding anything to the universe, or is it just an introduction to another character? And then so
you're gonna have to bring up Bakertown's comments. Yes,
Kang is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Kang is like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're gonna get.
This phase is the cinematic equivalent of an ambulance chaser. God, I love Kaz.
Very true. Very true. Should we talk a little bit? I mean, we did talk a little bit about Fantastic Four there, and the fact that Peyton Reed wanted to direct that movie. It's being directed by Matt Shakman, the director of WandaVision, and it was revealed, not by him, by a Deadline reporter, that they are casting Sue Storm first and wanting to build the movie around Sue Storm. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that.
I think that's a great idea, because she is at best a problematic character. With the Invisible Girl / Invisible Woman thing, and they've done. I mean, Byrne and Wolfman actually did a pretty good job of making her less of a 60s housewife who happened to have superpowers, but that's still kind of where the character came from. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to do that.
I think it's the right way forward, because everybody kind of already knows, the other characters, and the Invisible Woman's powers. She could become quite powerful.
Well, she is. She
is really the most powerful one out of the lot of them, because she can, do that whole force shield thing, and then she's not just invisible, and I think a lot of people forget that about the Invisible Woman. And I like this idea, and I also think Matt Shakman is a very interesting choice of director, because I really think I think WandaVision is actually one of the best things that's come out of the MCU in the last 3 years. Like, that show, I still think it's the best Marvel show. I really think he understands the character of WandaVision quite well, and I do wonder whether this movie now. I actually think Fantastic Four is vital now for the future of the MCU. If they don't get Fantastic Four right, I think the MCU is in a lot of trouble. So that's why they're taking so much time. And I also think that's. Go on, James.
Well, I was just going to ask, do you think this is a sign that Susan Storm is going to be leading the film front and center?
Yes. She will be. Yeah. No, she will be. I think she'll be the core of the movie, which is also probably why, someone like John Krasinski is not going to be in this film. I think they're going to cast very differently to what people are expecting. You can honestly
Emily
throw
Blunt,
out.
that would be hilarious.
they're not. But the thing is, they're not going to do that, though, are they? Because I think that's been very clear that if they cast someone like Emily Blunt, they will not have that actor for very long. And if they cast someone like John Krasinski, he's only going to be really around for let's say the next 2-3 years. Really, let's be honest, he's going to want to go and do his own thing. They will want to cast people that they can keep around for a lot longer, because I think the Fantastic Four is the future of the MCU. This is like, I think this is as important as Robert Downey Jr. was for the MCU. I think if they get this wrong, it could go very badly. Like, we've already seen that Phase 4 has been a bit of a dud. Phase 5 is, I think Ant-Man 3 is fun, but it is the worst rated movie, worst reviewed Marvel movie of all time. It's on Rotten Tomatoes, it's below Thor: The Dark World, which, again, it's not as bad as Thor: The Dark World. That movie is really bad. But that the reason that movie is bad is well documented. It was a really troubled production. Patty Jenkins was supposed to direct it. She left, and it was Alan Taylor, I think, who came who stepped in to direct that movie at the very last second.
Hadn't Branagh done the original development on it, and then they handed it to Patty Jenkins after?
Yeah, so he was originally going to do the sequel to begin with, and then he'd done all the previs and development on it, and then he left the project to God knows I don't know what he ended up doing. And then Patty Jenkins came in, and it's if they don't get the Fantastic Four right, I honestly think that's it. That's like the MCU kind of done. Because I think
I agree 100%. I agree 100%, because it's not just the Fantastic Four. Those characters are going to do what they can't do anymore with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. You can't have them spider out into the other movies, but you can, all the Fantastic Four characters pretty much have carried a book on their own for a while. So
don't forget about the X-Men.
Yeah, but people have seen X-Men, seen a lot of X-Men. We've only seen two Fantastic Four movies, right? Not counting the Corman one.
We had the Corman one, and that baby is gold.
It's an interesting movie.
It is. It's the Corman one is really interesting to watch, to see what you can do with no budget. But some of it works surprisingly well. Some of it works better than the big budget 20th Century Fox movies.
Yeah. Very, very small bits of it.
Yeah. Yes. I'll agree. There are moments work better.
Yeah. Stay Lifted comes up with something, says about the critic score, saying critic scores mean nothing. It's an 84% for audience. Yeah, but if I'm not so sure. I do think critic score means something. I think if the critical consensus is that a film is bad, it will be remembered as being bad.
But if you look at other reviews of other films that aren't like big Marvel tentpoles, the divide between the critics and the fans is not that big.
It's getting bigger.
The divide is getting huge between the critics and the fans for these movies now.
Yeah,
and I think maybe I don't know. I don't know what the critics are thinking. Maybe they're expecting something more. Maybe they're just being harsh on it because they're tired of seeing them all, and they're tired of having to review them all. I don't know. So.
Well, it's an interesting. There's so many changes in the business because of this. Because critics used to be newspaper bound, and now newspapers aren't that much of a big deal anymore. And then there are so many other critics at their own sites, that aren't really like overseen by anybody like us. So you don't have like a Vincent Canby or a voice coming out and really holding a lot of weight anymore. And at the same time, that used to drive people into theaters, and obviously people aren't being driven into theaters anymore. So, what's the effect that it seems like it's a big sort of paradigm change that we're in the middle of right now.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah. I think YouTuber critics have become quite important, though. I think there was a time when a lot of people would go and see movies based on like Jeremy Johns's reviews, and there are loads of them. it used to, but we're not in the days of Roger Ebert anymore. Or like, you know, I mean, in the UK, I suppose the most famous movie critic is Mark Kermode, who's quite a famous movie critic, very opinionated man. I've met him on a number of occasions. Wasn't very nice to me, but we'll save that for another day. Even though he literally never meet your heroes. That's all I'll say. You know, and it seems to me as though people just go to these movies regardless of the critic score. I will say that, like, it doesn't matter in that sense anymore. But what I think it does matter in like a historical sense. And also, if movies that are coming out, Marvel movies are coming out consistently being panned by critics, it will have a knock-on effect further down the line. Yeah.
I mean, you don't, but even with the YouTube critics becoming important, you don't have anybody. And this is cranky old. This is a cranky old part for me. you don't have anybody like Pauline Kael or Canby or Ebert, who were historians as well, doing that and really knew film backwards and forwards. And God knows that, you know, Pauline Kael could, from the time I was like 12 years old, literally could piss me off reading a review. Because my older brother had a subscription to the New Yorker, and I used to sneak it because there were no Playboys in the house, so I was sneaking New Yorkers. You know, but I still sort of like learned a lot from reading that stuff. I mean, I remember reading her review of the Charles Bronson movie Hard Times, which said this is not really a great movie, but it's great pulp. So it's something you know you should all pay attention to, because
that's why I love that movie.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of this. So is it a good movie? No. Is it something you should see? Yes.
I think when Tarantino retires, he should just review movies on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that'll even the scale a bit. There's
something else I can avoid.
That's what he wants to do.
Tarantino. Rotten Tomatoes is kind of suspect, isn't it? I mean, because of who owns them.
Yeah.
It's Amazon, isn't it?
I thought Warner's had a piece of Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe.
I thought it was like IMDb, but no, I don't think they're linked. Amazon knows everything else. They own IMDb and everything else.
They called me to make an offer for you, Edward. So we'll talk about that after.
I'm all ears. I come quite cheap. Yeah, I mean, I think again, I think we've talked a lot about Marvel and DC. I wonder whether we should move on to. Do you want to talk a little bit about Mindhunter season 3? Yes. So I'm going to be completely and utterly open. We were told that Mindhunter season 3 was on the cards quite a while ago now. So, you know, sometimes you get sent some stuff, and I got very excited because I really wanted Mindhunter to come back. It sounds as though it hasn't been going very well between David Fincher and Netflix. And Fincher basically came out talking to he talked to a French outlet called Le Journal du Dimanche, and said that basically it was going to be too expensive to make a third season. Netflix wasn't willing to invest the money based on the viewership numbers. Now, I did know that the viewership numbers were lower than Netflix was expecting, especially for Mindhunter season 2, which is mind-boggling to me because it's literally the best show on Netflix. Also, season 2 was a very difficult production for David Fincher, especially because he ended up basically firing everybody. He rewrote everything and directed all the episodes himself, which he wasn't supposed to do. They had brought in directors to direct the episodes. I think he was only supposed to do the pilot and maybe the finale to begin with, and they ended up directing everything. And he ended up saying that he was working like ridiculous hours, and it wasn't really something he wanted to go back to. Then he's like, maybe in the future at some point.
He didn't get credited for directing those episodes because of the other directors.
Yeah. No,
I remember.
I think he
I always
did.
watch who directs an episode, and there was like 3 or 4 directors in season 2. If I remember correctly.
He probably
he was executive producer. Yeah.
If it's TV, he's taking over the editing. I mean, the directors aren't sitting in the editing. He's probably doing that.
It's been well documented that he ended up basically doing everything on the second season, which was not supposed to be the case. He did, and I just think he's one of those directors that I think people he is infamous for doing take after take after take after take. It takes a very long time to make a David Fincher movie. He's very particular, which is also why he's made such incredible movies. Like David Fincher, I think, is literally one of the best directors working in Hollywood now, probably one of the best ever. Apart from Alien 3, was that him? There aren't many bad Fincher movies. You can't really name a bad Fincher movie. At least I can't. I love all of them. I even love The Game, which is a lot of people think is one of his worst films. And Panic Room. I really like that film as well.
I liked it too, yeah.
He's only sorry, Edward, I just following up on this. He only directed the first 3 episodes of season 2.
But I don't think he was even supposed to do. I don't think he was even supposed to do that. But it has been well documented that he was doing far too much on that show, and that wasn't going to be the case to begin with. And they also had they had to rewrite a lot of it. I know that he was not happy with the writers, the original drafts on a lot of the episodes. He ended up rewriting a lot of them. So it looks like Mindhunter season 3 won't happen at Netflix, at least.
Unless this is open James, negotiation. Yeah.
Again, I was gonna ask you about this. So what do you guys think about this, and do you think it really is the end of Mindhunter?
What is so expensive about that show? Is
CGI.
It just don't know. What's CGI?
It's CGI you can't notice, like
the period stuff.
Well, the period stuff, but also
maybe.
Like if the sky it looks too nice and bright out, they'll darken the sky. It's like in Panic Room where he's CGI where you can really notice, except
Panic Room is completely CGI. There's a lot of CGI in Panic Room. I mean, I wonder though whether
too, but he uses CGI very subtly where you can't notice it, and that's pretty expensive.
Yeah. I do also wonder though whether it's the scope of these shows, that they have very big crews. They have pretty. I suppose the actors aren't. It's a big cast. It is a big cast, and it's a complicated kind of show to make as well. And I want it's lots of location shoots, which I think makes anything extortionately expensive when you start doing on location, because
really, because to me, we used to say in doing independent film was that if you use practical sets, it was always better than building for price.
Yeah. I mean, I do know where you're coming from, because I've always been a bit Shaun. I've always been a bit puzzled when people say Mindhunter was just too expensive to make. Like Fincher said this on multiple occasions now. He said that it's just a very expensive show to make. I wonder whether the mere fact that it's Fincher makes it expensive because he's so demanding.
Yeah.
If it was anyone else, that's probably also why Netflix wanted other people to direct these episodes, because they were like, David, we cannot afford another 30 days of shooting just for you,
but the quality
to get like one
through.
Scene.
For that scene.
Yeah, I know.
we can't afford another 30 days of shooting because you didn't like Edward Kemper's pants.
Yeah, but the quality shines through with that.
I'm surprised that the viewership was not there, because this is my Zack Snyder. Like, everybody I know watches it and loves it. Like, literally everybody.
But this is a problem with Netflix. So it's if it doesn't do good numbers right at the beginning, then they're like, okay, we'll scrap it. Like, just like the radio, the one that was based off the podcast that does really well in the small screen, Archive 81.
Archive 81. I think it was
no one knew about that, and then now they're all finding out about it, and they want a second season, but Netflix canceled it before anyone found it. They didn't advertise it properly. I didn't watch Mindhunter until I cut the video for it, and then I watched it last year.
Amazing.
I didn't even hear about it.
Good.
And nobody really knows what their numbers are. I mean, they say stuff, but they play it really close to the vest. And you don't know if what they're releasing is what they is what real viewership is. And I don't even know how you measure that viewership. I understand what's his name? Comic book writer, wrote Two Guns, was asking people to watch Two Guns on Netflix and let it, even if you were just letting it play in the background, because after what he knows is that after like 5 or 10 minutes, it counts as a view of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
but I also
why can't I remember his name?
I can't remember. I didn't watch that.
Stephen
show.
Grant.
Maybe I should.
Stephen Grant.
Oh, okay. Well, I do know that Netflix also looks at retention, and because there's a lot that the numbers that they post are like 5-minute views, I think, and they count that as a view of the whole show, which is insane.
Right.
But they also, those are the numbers they release publicly, and internally they do look at how many people have actually watched the entire show,
and probably replays too.
Well, this is why Wednesday has done so well, because apparently, this is what I was told the other day, Wednesday has been rewatched more times than any other Netflix show. So people are going back and rewatching the first season of that show more than any other one, more than Squid Game, more than Bridgerton, which is I was going to write that tomorrow. But it's one of it. I honestly think that Mindhunter is on the wrong platform. I think Netflix is completely the wrong place for a show like Mindhunter. I'm pretty sure if Mindhunter had been made for Amazon or for HBO, I actually think HBO would have been the perfect place for that show. We would have ended up having 4 or 5 seasons by now.
Or Showtime. It feels like a Showtime.
Or Showtime. Show. It feels like a Showtime show because those sorts of shows don't get massive numbers, but they're not really made for the numbers. They're made for the for the clout. They're made for the awards. Right. They're made to be premium television. And I don't think Netflix is a place for premium television because that's not what works on there. Even more than Fuller House. Or what's that? That's a reference to something I don't.
Full House.
The Fuller House. The Full House revival.
Yeah. I never watched Full House.
Oh, you don't have children, do you?
No, he's from the UK. That's why.
No. Well, Full House, and 8 Simple Rules are my 8 Simple Rules. When
8 Simple Rules, I did.
My daughter.
I did watch that. I did watch 8 Simple Rules. I did watch that show.
It was sadly
the dad. It's the dad from 8 Simple Rules in Full House.
No,
was it Bob Saget? No,
John Ritter.
He died.
John Ritter died, and then they brought in
Bob Saget.
They brought in James Garner and David Spade, and it actually became a better show after that. Sadly, I mean James Garner and David Spade together were like, let's just turn on the camera. We'll be back in half an hour. you guys do whatever you're gonna do.
Don Rickles style.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably watch Full House.
So I agree. But now Showtime is all a mess too. So that's not going to be a place for shows anymore either.
Yeah, and I'm a bit worried about all this Dexter nonsense they're doing now. They're trying to turn Dexter into their Yellowstone series kind of.
Yellow Jackets. They've got Yellow Jackets.
They're looking at Yellow. Yeah, they've got Yellow, but they're looking at what's happening with Paramount. What Paramount's doing with Yellowstone, with all these prequels and sequels, and and trying to develop Dexter into, which to me makes no sense.
It's like the movie studios trying to copy the Marvel Cinematic Universe formula. It's happening in television now.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, but it could be like Yellowstone, where you're going to wind up with a revolving cast door.
Yes, or just cast members. Yeah. Cast members that don't want to film like the final episode. I find that's such a weird story. That Kevin Costner story is so weird.
Something happened. Something happened on that set is what I'll say. And there was some kind of breakdown between Costner and Taylor Sheridan. And Costner's like, I don't need you.
I've got lots of royalties.
Very odd. Yeah. That's a very odd story. Yeah. But I with as far as Mindhunter's concerned, it's looking like it's dead at Netflix, which is not. It's not what we want to hear. I honestly think it won't be picked up by anyone else because I think it's too expensive to. We're talking about sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix earlier. It's too expensive for anyone else to come in and buy the IP and make the 3rd season.
And it's lost momentum. I mean, how long has it been since the 2nd season? There's no momentum behind it anymore.
I think there isn't people would tune in though. I think I think people would tune in. I think
I would.
The hype would build. Yeah.
I think it's got a very devoted fan base. The cast, they've all said they would come back in a heartbeat and do it. They're desperate to do it. So much so that, like, who was it that one of the cast members retweeted one of our articles about Mindhunter season 3? Can't remember his name. The one that well, you can't say. I'm gonna have to look it up because
you didn't tell me this. That's amazing.
Yeah, he did it. Holt McClaney, McClaney, is that how you pronounce his name? Who plays Bill Tench in the show. Awesome. He retweeted. Yeah, he retweeted one of our articles about it. But and it's I do also wonder whether Netflix was trying to gauge interest. This is a peek behind the curtain. Was trying to gauge interest into how many people were really interested in season 3. And feeding some information to certain people, and I was one of the ones dumb enough to go.
I don't know. I think Fincher might be openly negotiating. He goes on some, like, he hasn't talked about it his message has been the same for like the last couple of years now. All of a sudden, he's got some new information about money.
But it's not even. He said that before, though. He has said that before about it being too expensive to make.
But he never. He said it. Yeah, but there's more of like a.
He hinted at it before.
This time. Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It's expensive, yes, but what are you getting from it? I don't understand why they just don't. You want a David Fincher show? Here we're going to give you the money. We're going to give David Fincher money, and we're going to give Christopher Guest money. Give Christopher Guest $5 million to do a Mascots every year. Fincher give us a Mindhunter every 2 years, and you can do all the fucking Wednesdays you want. But that's covered your nut for classy stuff, and that's important.
But the Fincher and Netflix have had a very good working relationship. I mean, the Killer is Fincher's next movie, and that's coming out on Netflix. Netflix let Fincher make Mank, which was a movie he wanted to make for years, which I watched and went completely over my head, unfortunately, because I know very little about Citizen Kane. And I think it went over everybody else's head who watched that show on a subscriber on Netflix that wasn't, versed in the story of Citizen Kane and how that film was made. And of course, Fincher actually was one of the OG directors to work with Netflix. He was an executive producer on House of Cards. So, they have a relationship that go way back. And it seems to me as though it might be coming to an end, unfortunately, after probably The Killer. I think that'll probably be it for Fincher and Netflix. Which means it'll be it for Mindhunter as well.
What you got up here, James?
Check out a little bit about this. This is all the CGI that they've done. Is it lagging?
Yeah, it's lagging a bit, yeah.
See, it's nice, but to me, stuff like this is does it really make your scene better? Does it really make the movie better by doing this stuff?
Makes it greener.
Yeah.
I don't know, those bushes they added really added to the suspense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that they got rid of that rail.
The dolly track, yeah.
Yeah, the dolly track. Oh dear. But I don't think this sort of stuff costs an extortionate amount of money, does it? Because they did a lot of it. They do this in movies all the time.
Jesus Christ! Look at how many dolly tracks do you need for one shoot?
It's Fincher.
Oh, what's going? That's such a Fincher shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Fincher's expensive. I mean, he makes expensive movies that, that to get them the way they look, and it's going to cost you money. That's the thing. That's what you sign up to when you. But honestly, I can't see this being any more expensive than making a season of Wednesday. Like, really. especially with the people involved with Wednesday. I mean, you're getting Tim
Right.
Burton involved. He's going to cost you money. So I think ultimately it does just come down to viewership, really. I think they wanted this show to be bigger than it was.
I'd be, as a producer, I'd be there. Tell me why this is so important for you to have that greenery in there. Why? How does that make the scene better?
The snow. The snow makes it quite...
Yeah. How does it help the story though? Does that make that much of a difference in the
See how
story and
many-
what we're gonna like?
See how many layers of snow they added there?
Yeah.
It's like 8 different layers of snow. And then they had a rotoscope all around her.
They added the car.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's overkill. Let's be honest. I think for everything they do, it's like they're trying to add food to everything. But this whole
See,
thing.
it looks like a lot of the exteriors were digitally constructed.
Yeah. Sorry, somebody walked by, so the dog's going crazy.
It's okay. Oh yeah, I remember seeing this.
What did
Anyways.
they do with this? Oh, okay. But you know what all of this means? It means that 2 of the best shows I think ever to have been made have been now cancelled way before their time, and that's Mindhunter and Hannibal. Hannibal was one of the best shows I ever watched, and they both deserved so much better. And it's a shame. It's a shame.
Hannibal's amazing that it was an American broadcast network show, and that they stayed with it. The fact that they stayed with it for 2 seasons by itself was astonishing. Because it's a challenging show. It's not an easy show to watch.
What was that? NBC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Universal. Yeah, NBC Universal, and NBC is like super conservative. They're not CBS making shows for people over 70, but they're a fairly conservative network.
Yeah.
Deadwood had lots of problems.
It was so good though. Deadwood, that was a very good show. Ian McShane had his best.
Yeah.
That was a great show. Right. On that bombshell, I think we've gone through most of the stuff. I think Shaun.
I think we're good.
Good.
Yeah. I think Shaun needs to go. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk.
He said he was fine.
Yeah, I'm fine for the time being, but you're just tired of me, Edward. Just say we're tired of Shaun. We want to move on.
Edward wants to be on his phone. See,
we want to find a prettier, younger, cranky guy.
Well, that's me.
Never.
What are you talking about?
Never. You cannot leave, Shaun. Don't have any ideas of leaving to start a thing with Zeus.
No, I'm not.
The god of what's Zeus?
I got statues now. See, I got statues.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
yes.
You should bring them.
They are
to the
massive.
camera. Show them off.
There you go. Wow.
You got a major award.
I got a major award. Yeah, I got 2 of these things for Twilight. I'm pretty happy.
I would like to thank the Academy, myself, my brain, my talent.
If I ever got an Oscar, ever got an Oscar, first thing I would do is name everybody who had fucked me over in my career. I'd just have a run through it. Here are all the people that made this difficult for me to get here.
I was playing you off, Edward, from your Oscar speech.
Did you see the BAFTAs were last week?
Yeah,
Did you guys see that? Yeah. I
was
was very surprised that Thingy didn't win, that Brendan Fraser didn't win.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? And the Elvis dude won, right? That's
Austin Butler.
Wow.
But you know,
Elvis dude.
I like Austin Butler, but I have to say
I don't know
comes
his
off
name,
as like one of it's Austin Butler. He comes off as one of those really
what's his name?
Austin Butler. Austin, but he comes off as one of those really insincere like actor dudes. I don't know if he's like, I'm so humbled. It's like, oh, shut up. Take your award and fuck off.
I was kind of like this guy. I've not seen Elvis, but when I saw
Oh,
he got a
it's good.
BAFTA, I was like, this guy must be really good because you can't pay for a BAFTA like you can pay for other awards. I mean, he's
He is
Golden
good.
Globes,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
but
it's very. Yes. Yeah.
He's
Oh,
not
sorry,
gonna say it
Siri's
again.
come on, so I can't hear anything. There we go. Austin who? Butler. There you go. He was a Disney actor, a Disney Channel actor. Now as a BAFTA winning actor, so he's done well. But as something about those those LA kind of actors, I'm so humbled, so humbled.
Yeah.
Shut up. No, it's not Austin Lauder. No.
Oh yeah, Danzig asked me about Marlowe really quickly because I haven't watched it yet. Danzig, I don't think Sean's seen it either, or Edward, but it's at 23% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Wow.
That's the critics and 34% audience, so it's not looking good.
That's
we'll
not
see.
good. Actually, in other Liam
probably gonna
Neeson
watch
news,
it
I don't
this
know if you
weekend.
heard. Yeah, I don't know if you
I'm not
heard.
done talking about
Liam
Marlowe
Neeson
yet.
news.
No, I'm not done talking about Marlowe yet. I'm gonna watch it this weekend, and let me tell you all my plans. I'm gonna tell you all the snacks I'm gonna have, and all the I'll probably have root beer, and then I'll get some Cool Ranch.
You're gonna have
Doritos.
You need to watch The
cool.
Big Sleep, and you need to watch Farewell, My Lovely.
I'll watch The Big Sleep again, yeah, and then I'll check out Farewell, My Lovely. But yeah, Marlowe's not looking good. It's okay. Go ahead. You want to talk about your hero, Liam Neeson? Tell us how like you love watching his action movies again.
I love watching his action movies. But no, I just saw the other day he was doing an interview, probably for Marlowe actually, and he revealed that he'd been asked to play Bond by Cubby Broccoli, and he turned them down because he said that his wife, who sadly passed away a couple of years, said she would not marry him if he played Bond.
Really?
So he turned down the role. So we could have had Liam Neeson as the name's Bond, James Bond.
I was
He would have been
teaching
the first Irish Bond.
an Irish operative for MI6. There's that's a story in itself. I was teaching a business performing arts class when Taken 3 came out, and I remember talking about it in class. And there was a girl, a very talented young woman, gorgeous actress that was a part of the department, and she said, "I can't wait to see it." And I said, "Really? Why?" And she goes, "Because Liam Neeson is so fucking sexy." And I said, "Liam Neeson's not only old enough to be your dad, he's almost old enough to be my dad." And she said, "I don't care. If he were to walk in this room, I would fuck him right now in front of everybody because he's that sexy."
Oh god, I think
I'm
many
like,
women have daddy issues over Liam Neeson.
I like if I go.
Who said this, Sean?
This was a student.
Oh, I was like your wife or your ex.
No, so just like a 21 year. This is like a 21-year-old student. She said that, and I'm like, I cannot take this conversation any farther because there's going to be a lawsuit if I go any further with this. But I was stunned. I was stunned. That he has that kind of hold over people still.
Almost like the
Tom Selleck
effect.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same sort of thing.
Oh, is that why you made this? Was this for Liam Neeson?
One day I'll get to Liam Neeson. That's my goal. So, how did you get plane?
Your microphone's all messed up now.
Is it?
Yeah, going in and out.
No, you're underwater.
Really?
Now you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, just had to hit it.
That's what I have to do with my old computer. It doesn't boot up. It says Chase intruded. I just shut it down and I go smack, and then it works.
That's the American way of solving technical problems. And you guys, I expected
actually,
more from you.
The Canadian way is I just need to use duct tape.
The Canadian way is to ask it nicely to work.
And use duct tape.
Yeah.
You ever watch Red Green, Sean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I almost saw him live last year. He's coming through town, coming through this area. That would have been fun to see.
Is he still doing Is he still doing that character?
Yeah, I'm still doing tours. Yeah,
it's a great character.
Yeah, they have all the episodes up on YouTube now as well.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Edward, where can we find you? Where should people go if they can't?
Well, you can't find me anymore. Yeah, they can't find me anymore. I'm banned. I'm still banned.
Come on your small screen.
You look in the mirror and you say James Gunn 3 times, and Edward appears.
You don't find me. I find you.
I have a particular set of skills, and they piss off Zack Snyder fans.
I have a particular set of skills, but one of them, unfortunately, is not doing an American accent in any movie I ever turn in. What's even his name in the Taken movies? I can't remember. It's like he's like a former
his name is Taken.
CIA. It's Mr. Taken. It's back. Yeah,
Brian,
I can't remember.
Brian Mills.
My name.
Wow.
My name is Brian Mills. I used to be. Was he in the CIA? Was he a former CIA operative or something?
Of
course he was. Yeah, and then they I remember they have like barbecues, don't they, together, where they just talk about the old days.
Yeah, they do. I don't know. I will defend the first Taken forever. The first Taken is
the first one
action movie.
Mm-hmm. First one is good. The ones after that were bad.
As I always say, like after the first one, you think the bad guys would go, maybe we should leave this guy alone. And especially after the second one, I don't think we need him, because every time it's like the old Bob Newhart routine about the spy show. Anybody ever notice that when we talk to him, we all get arrested the next week?
And I loved how it was always another family member. And like then it's like I think the second one the dad that was trying to kill Liam Neeson's character.
Yeah.
And then the third one was like the cousin. And
Right.
The fourth one was like the second cousin once removed. The fifth.
There's fewer and fewer of us every time we do this, so maybe we should leave it alone.
But this time we will get him. We will find this Brian Mills and kill him.
Shit! Finding him was never the problem. Getting away from him was the problem.
Good luck. I remember that. Good luck. And then that whole he gets him to say the word, doesn't he? So the guy says it, and when he finally comes face to face with him, and he's like, "You're the one on the phone. I will kill you now." I was kind of obsessed with that movie, the first Taken film. It was yeah. I think without Taken, we wouldn't have John Wick, and I think that's true. I genuinely believe that's true.
That's probably true.
Yeah. So there you go. Taken has given us a lot. Actually, that's coming out soon, isn't it? John Wick Chapter 4. It's a good channel.
Mm-hmm. The first cut is 3 hours long.
I want to watch it. A lot of it's set in Paris, so I'm excited.
Okay,
I'm very excited. Right. Yeah. So that so you can find me at Small Screen Co. That's a very long-winded way to get around to that. There you go. And where can we find you, Shaun?
On Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and Twinight, TWIKNIGHT.com.
And James?
Oh, thank you this week at 42cutcom. That's where you can find me.
Woo! And none of you guys have been banned yet from Twitter, have you? So you're all
Not
good.
yet.
No, but we're trying.
We didn't write 50 articles about Amber Heard being a bad person. So I was thinking today that might have something to do with it.
It would make so much more sense if it was Small Screen that had been banned. At least then I'd be like, okay, that. I mean, again, all my tweets are like, I went to see a movie today and I didn't like it or I liked it. You know, that's literally here's my top 10 of the year. You know, and that's literally all I'm
voice?
Yeah, it's kind of I'm dumb on Twitter. I'm so basic.
I thought your Twitter voice would be like,
Was I've had enough. Get out.
You know, I wonder, like, do you think it was just Snyder guys complaining enough about you That would make a lot of sense because they're so banded together that
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. No,
I don't think I'm that. I'm not that known within the Snyder community.
And he doesn't really say anything bad on Twitter either. So we should do a whole live show about why was Edward Lauder banned on Twitter.
Oh, that'd be cool.
We'll call it. Why does Elon Musk hate me? What did I do, Elon?
What was it? Did you hear what Judd Apatow said he hosted the DGA Awards?
No, what did he say?
He said this show is so irrelevant that it's not broadcast, it's not even on radio, and Elon Musk is negotiating to buy it.
That's a very good joke. Oh well, thank you, Kazakh. Thank you.
Taken has given us a lot.
Yeah.
Poetry by Lauder.
Yeah. Chrysler, sell Edward Lauder to Netflix. I like that one. James Gunn complained. I don't know if James Gunn is that friendly with Elon, but yeah, that's probably why. That's probably what happened. On that article I wrote, though, has got a lot of people commenting on being like, the same thing happened to me. I don't use Twitter. And I went back on it one day and it said I've been permanently suspended. So it's not just me. Oh God, that was a long time ago. Look at those chubby cheeks.
Is that your high school? Is that your high school picture?
No, that was like 2 years ago.
His photo for his toothpaste commercial.
It's quite creepy, that photo. Yeah. this end thing has been going on for a very long time now.
I've given you three out. No, I've given you 3 outs to wrap the show up. That just keeps going on. So I'm just having fun with the clips now. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's okay with me.
There you go. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
I don't
Bye.
Twitter, and I got banned from my job. Next week we will be talking about the Buckaroo Banzai comic book that Shaun had pitched to DC.
No. I was in active development of an animated series at Warner Brothers.
Awesome.
Cartoon Network had committed to put it on the air.
Oh wow! Yeah,
we're gonna talk about that
next
next week.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, there you are.
Missed it. Don't forget to smash that like button. Do it now. You're only supposed to smash bloody like button. Do it.
Where is that clip? I found the Amber Heard accent one.
She was only 13 years old. Have you ever seen that movie where Michael Caine is basically his taken that movie? I can't remember what it's called. It's called Harry Brown.
Oh, Harry. That's a
Harry
really
Brown.
good action.
Really
picture.
good.
A great movie.
He's the retired SAS guy.
She was only 13 years old, and you killed her. That's actually his best movie. And you have to watch The Trip to understand this bit I'm doing, because it's about Michael Caine's voice. It went very high pitched. Only supposed to play the bloody dog. She was only 30. I'm not going to bury another Wayne, Master Bruce. I'm not going to bury another Wayne. There you go. That's go over there and hit the fucking like button. All right, you hit it now. You motherfucking hit the fucking like. I just told you to hit the motherfucking like button. So you gotta do it right now. Do it.
We were talking about The Trip the other day because we were watching 24-Hour Party People.
Yes, that's good. That's a very good movie. Anyway, let's end it there.
All right.
Watch that film. Anyone that hasn't watched it, watch it. It's a really good movie.
Which film? Trip or 24-Hour Party People?
Both Steve Coogan films. Massive Steve Coogan fan. All right. Thanks, guys.
Пошли. Все вместе. Какие ваши доказательства? Кокаином.
Still going back, man.